and welcome to this week's Spotlight Interview Election 2012 series. Today we welcome Sanford Kahn, who is running for Congress in the 47th District.
Correct.
Welcome, thank you for coming.
No problem, it's nice to be here.
So why did you decide to get in the race?
Well, I ran twice before for Congress in the 1980s against Glenn Anderson. I had certain issues, tax issues at that time. Glenn won both of those. He was a good guy. Today he'd be considered a moderate Democrat. But now we have an open seat because of redistricting. And plus the issues are far different today than they were in the 1980s. We have a debt bomb in the United States that if we don't do something about it, is going to go off and it's going to impact standard of living. And you can no longer tax your way to prosperity. The formula doesn't work. The same old isn't working. So I come from an economic business background. I'm a small business owner. And I look at things differently than I feel than the other candidates. So I figured now it's a time to run.
So the other Republicans in the race are Gary DeLong and Steve Kuykendall as of today.
As of today.
As of today.
Yeah,
things could change.
Right.
How do you see yourself as different from DeLong and Kuykendall? Kuykendall has was a former congressman.
Right.
DeLong is well respected in Long Beach as a Republican city councilman. How do you differentiate yourself?
Well, I know both these people because I've been on stage with them, and especially Steve I've known a long time ago when he was a congressman up in Palos Verdes area. There is a difference between myself and them, is that when they talk about who's endorsing them, generalities of what they stand for, which is nice, but they don't get into any details like taxes, education, oil, increasing oil drilling in the United States with the latest technology. They just talk in generalities. To them, it's the same old, same old. Well, I have all these endorsements right here. This is my background. Well, that's nice. Don't get me wrong. That is nice. But where we are now in this country, it's not about that anymore that much. If things were going great, then it would be. What it's about now is ideas and where you see the future of this country going. And that's where I'm coming from. So
your ideas, what would you say is the most important thing you'd like to accomplish if you were elected congressman?
Okay, the two most important things to me, as I told one audience, if you sat me in a room and there was only one exit and he had some NFL players guarding that exit and saying, Sanford, you're not going to leave this room until you tell us the two most important things that you feel strongly about. Whether you accomplish it or not, it's different. One person doesn't accomplish too much. But the two most important things you feel strongly about are, to me, a flat rate income tax of between 15 to 17% with a large standard deduction for those that are at or below the poverty line, so they don't pay any federal income tax. That would be indexed to inflation. Outside of that, let's say 16%, 15 to 17. Let's say 16. Anything above that, flat, 16%. Warren Buffett, you, anybody, anything above that, they all pay 16%. Nobody has a special rate. The second one is for education. Education, we've been throwing money at education. Education doesn't need more money. You will not reform the bureaucracy, the educational bureaucracy, by throwing money at it. Education needs competition. I strongly support vouchers, where guardians of children, or parents and guardians, legal guardians of children, should have the right to pick where they want to send their kids, to either public, private, or parochial school. They should have the right. They know what's best for their kid. They should have that right to decide. It's their money anyways. It's their tax money. Government doesn't create money out of thin air unless you're federal government and then you run the printing presses, but still it's their money. They should have that right to send kids. And with competition, you'll see major changes in education. They'll now respond to the marketplace.
Well, we have seen major deep cuts in education over the last 3 years. Basically, tens of millions of dollars per year. In fact, Long Beach City College just got hit with a huge budget cut as well. How is that going to help existing schools if they get even less money than they have now? Teachers are being laid off, counselors are being laid off. There's very little support, reading and math. I mean, how will that help if there's even less money to the schools than there is today?
You mean innovation plays no part in this? When you introduce competition to the market, innovation kicks in. Right now, any bureaucracy, any educational bureaucracy, as long as you're getting money and maybe even increasing money, or even not increasing, but the government's throwing money at you, there's no incentive to innovate. But once you start having competition, then you get into it. Look, I could tell you from my own experience, I'm not an educator as far as teaching here, but my insurance rates with my car insurance company, due to competition now, are almost every 6 months the premium is almost where it was in the mid-1970s due to innovation and competition. It works. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect, but the main idea is to give people, consumers, choice where they want to send their kids, and then let the establishment, the educational establishment, innovate. And I'm not saying they can't form public-private cooperatives or partnerships. They sure can. They could cooperate with this school. You know, you'll get tremendous amount of innovation. I don't know what's going to come out of it. No one knows. I mean, whoever thought the iPhone would be around 30, 40 years ago, but Steve Jobs brought it around. You just don't know. That's the beauty of the marketplace. It's called innovation.
So you have established yourself as an economics Republican. You have most of your platform is based on the economics the big business sort of economic way of being a Republican. There's very little on your website about social issues like gay marriage and abortion. What are your feelings on this?
Well, first of all, let me correct something. I am a Republican, and my platform is, or if they see my webpage, sanfordkahnforcongress.com, it is oriented towards economic issues. But I'm not for big business. I'm for small business. The future of this country belongs to entrepreneurs, those men and women who have a dream and want to pursue it by opening up a business. Big business can take care of themselves. I'm interested in getting new businesses started, reforming the tax code. As far as social issue goes, I'm in Congress. My issue on gay marriage, that one I do have an opinion. It's like 1 + 1 = 2 is, that's by definition, isn't it? To me, marriage is a union of a single man and a single woman. That's what marriage is about. It's always been that way, and that's how I feel. But it doesn't matter how I feel. That's just me. That's how I feel. It's a union of a single man and a single woman. But I have no say, and I know it. What I feel is, in this case, running for Congress is irrelevant. This is going to be decided by the state courts. It's now going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. They will decide it. What does it matter what I feel? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. That you asked me a question, I gave you an answer. But it doesn't matter. As far as abortion, again, whatever happens to that will be decided by the courts. It's already been decided by the courts. But if it should go back to the courts, some future president or whatever, the president appoints Supreme Court justices approved by the U.S. Senate. I'm running for the House. I have absolutely no say. Doesn't matter what I feel. And I'm not interested in the issue anyways. It's a luxury issue right now. The main issue is to get this economy moving, to create jobs and income. And guess what? You get tax revenue to governments, state and local and federal. So that's how I feel.
So getting back to you running against Gary DeLong and Steve Kuykendall and possibly others that may come in the race.
Yes, a whole bunch.
DeLong and Kuykendall both have a lot of endorsements,
Sure.
And they're established Republicans. How can Sanford Kahn beat these guys who have so many, big names backing them?
Right. Use the key word: established Republicans. Let's forget a word, Republican. Just established. The same old doesn't work anymore, and that's what you're telling me when you say established Republicans. It's the same old. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. So what I'm doing is getting my name known. Best type of marketing is one-on-one and have people spread your word, plus some advertising, unique advertising I am doing. Actually just started. Things that they probably are not doing. As far as I know, they're not doing because I haven't seen it. So I'm getting my name out there and going to different meetings, especially of chambers, and meeting people. And on the ballot, well, what are they going to put down? I haven't examined what they're going to put, but I have a feeling Gary DeLong will probably put Long Beach City Councilman, which is true. That's what he is. Steve will probably put, I assume, former U.S. congressman, or he was in the state assembly too. I'm putting down small business owner. That's my title. That's what I am. Guess what? That's what the future of America is. It's on small business. That's the people will hire. The big businesses are laying off. So that's what I'm doing.
And how do you reach out? You're a Long Beach guy. How do you reach out to Orange County?
That's why I'm spending a lot of time in Orange County.
So what do you do? How do you get out there? And
you have Chamber of Commerce's, other meetings. You get invited to clubs and organizations. They call the Registrar of Voters in Orange County. They have my number and my email address, and they invite me, plus some unique advertising I'm doing. which right now is sort of confidential because it's strategy. But it is fairly unique.
Are there any other issues that you feel strongly about?
Well, besides those two big issues is I want to make OPEC irrelevant for this country. And I want to increase domestic drilling using the latest safeguards, environmental safeguards. What good is it to increase domestic production, excuse me, if you poison your water? It does nothing, you accomplish nothing. But I don't want us to be dependent on the Middle East at all. We have an abundance of energy here, including natural gas. I like to see a lot of, and it's going to happen no matter what because of the disparity in prices between natural gas and gasoline, that a lot of cars and trucks are going to convert in the next few years en masse to natural gas. You already see it in Long Beach. I see it all the time with natural gas buses here. And also in Los Angeles, there's a lot of natural gas buses running. A lot of the pickup trash trucks now are natural gas driven. So I'd like to see that. Another thing I'd like to see is the inheritance tax, otherwise known as the death tax, eliminated. People worked all their lives to build up an estate. They already pay taxes on that, sometimes multiple times. That's their money to pass on to their heirs, their children, grandchildren, whatever. And it should stay in the private sector. It should not be sucked away by government to be spent on Solandras and who knows what other pet projects. Any administration, Democrat or Republican, I'm not knocking the Democrats. Republican administrations have done it too. George W. Bush has done it. They all do it. Maybe one does it more than another, but who cares? That should stay in the private sector and go into new investment.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it. It was nice to meet you. Sanford Kahn. This is Michelle Lecours for IE News.